good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody, depending on which time zone you guys are in. Welcome to Celoxis Knowledge Series. This is the first in a series of sessions that we plan to conduct as part of the Celoxis Knowledge Series. Today's session is primarily related to the Celoxis JIRA integration that we have just released. I'll go ahead and share my screen and we will get started. Cool. So the two sides to the coin. Celoxis, as you all know, is predominantly a portfolio and project management tool, which specializes in providing all the features that are required by a portfolio and project manager as they go about doing their business, managing different projects in their department, in their organization, and as part of their teams. On the other hand, if you look at the software development life cycle, one of the most popular tools that is typically used is Jira, which caters very well to the agile software development life cycle. And a number of the software development teams prefer Jira because it allows them to do a lot of the sprint planning and so on and so forth. However, if you look at the manner in which Jira is structured, it makes it difficult to coordinate the different sprints, the different resources that are working because of the inherent nature of Jira versus traditional traditional portfolio and project management, and that kind of brings in certain challenges that project managers face when they are doing a number of projects that are being managed in Jira and how that fits in with the overall release management, overall project management. So, what are the challenges that the project managers face? First and foremost, if the project and portfolio manager is managing his or her portfolio in a traditional PPM tool like Celoxis, they don't get real-time visibility and insights in the development process, which is being carried out in Jira. And what that also does is, because of the inherent nature of Jira, which has limited resource management and resource allocation capabilities, there is inefficient resource management. So Jira primarily focuses on task and issue tracking in an agile development, in an agile software development process. So as part of the different agile teams, Jira will focus on ensuring that the tasks and issues that are defined are properly managed. Inherently, the resource management capabilities that Jira has are relatively basic as compared to a standard traditional portfolio and project management software or portfolio and project management tool like Celoxis. This lack of capabilities, lack of sophisticated capabilities like resource scheduling, workload management, all of this essentially results in inefficient resource management that a portfolio and project manager can do in Jira. Because at the end of the day, the project manager wants to ensure that as you have a number of projects, a number of sprints that have been planned, you want to know how the resources are planned over the course of time. You want to know that which are the resources that would be available maybe 6 weeks from now or 2 months from now, so that efficient allocation can happen, not only to ensure that the resources get allocated based on the capacity that they have available with themselves, but also to ensure that it doesn't impact the overall timelines of the projects. Because at the end of the day, you want to ensure that the release management that you have planned is effective. And this inefficient resource management on the Jira side results in a difficulty in orchestrating and streamlining the release management process that a project manager might want to do over multiple sprints, multiple releases, multiple projects that might be happening in parallel. What this also does is that because there is limited native capability that Jira has in order to capture the actual effort, actual cost, and actual revenue, there is a misalignment between the planned versus the actuals. The project manager has planned the entire project with a certain amount of planned effort, planned cost, and planned revenue that would get spent or that would get captured as part of a project. But if the actuals don't get captured, it is very difficult to determine whether the effort that was planned for a particular sprint is the effort that got spent in ensuring that the sprint got executed. If the cost that was planned to be spent on a particular sprint is the actual cost that actually got spent, and the revenue, that was expected to be realized as a particular sprint, was that the actual revenue that got realized? And this misalignment in the plan versus actuals for the effort, cost, and revenue is what causes the lack of balance between the portfolio and project management that gets planned in traditional PPM tools versus the software development life cycle that happens in Jira. That essentially is what brings us to the ability for, and that was the thought process by which, as part of Celoxis, we planned the Jira integration. What the Jira integration does is it allows you to configure Celoxis in a manner in which you can connect to your local Jira instance, which you're using in a software development life cycle. And then whatever are the changes, whatever is the planning that you do in Jira in terms of epics, user stories, tasks, issues, the resource allocation, the effort that is assigned, that gets integrated with in Celoxis in the form. And what I'm going to do is show you the actual integration setup, because it's an extremely easy setup that is done. And once that is done, we will also go and look at how the integration happens from a project in Jira to a project in Celoxis, and the simple nature in which we can do that. Because at the end of the day, the more simple we can define the setup to be, it's that much more easier for the end users to use. It's that much more easier for the value to be realized for the integration between Jira and Celoxis. Let me quickly jump to the setup. I have a so I'm logged into a demo environment that I have set up for this purpose. I'm also logged into my Jira instance, which I will use for showing the implementation. So in the Celoxis environment, I go to the admin section. And once I go to the admin section, I have an integration section here as part of the project management that would have the Jira and Azure DevOps setup here, enabled here. In order for me to enable Jira integration, I click on the enable button here, and then there are a certain artifacts that I need to specify for the integration to actually happen. The first item that I need to specify is the REST API endpoint base URL. So this is basically the endpoint URL of your organization's Jira setup. For the purpose of this demo, I will specify the Celoxis Jira setup that is done. So it is celoxis.net REST API and 3. And that is the endpoint base URL that you will specify. The next item that you need to specify is the username that you will use to connect to Jira. So we specify the username, and then there is an API token that will need to be specified. You can create your own tokens. For the purpose of this demo, I have a token that has already been created, and I specify the token. Now, there are 3 other things that you can specify as part of the integration setup. Now, when planning is done in Jira, the software development teams are sometimes plan in terms of the person-hour effort for every artifact in Jira, which could be the epics, user stories, issues, or tasks. So the resources could specify the number of person-hours that it would take for them to complete a particular task in Jira. Often, software development teams also use a mechanism called a story pointing. So they would specify that the number of story points that it would take to complete an artifact assigned to a resource in Jira could be 2 story points, 3 story points, and that in a way signifies the complexity of that particular task that is being that has been assigned to a resource to complete in Jira. What we have done here is we have provided a mechanism for organizations to map how many person hours does a story point map to? So you can specify one story point maps to 8 person hours, or you can specify it to be 7 person hours, depending on how the organization has been set up. So this is something that you can specify at a tenant level. So every organization can specify that one story point. If a resource specifies the complexity and the effort required to complete an item in Jira as one story point, then it means 7 person hours of effort or 8 person hours of effort. If you don't want to map it based on story points and you want to use the effort that has been specified by the assigned resource as the effort to be considered in Celoxis, you can use this checkbox which says prefer the original estimate over story points, and then that effort would be something that would get picked up and assigned to tasks that get created in Celoxis. The third item that gets specified, that you need to specify, is the default time code that needs to be considered for the time entries that get recorded. So when resources specify time in Jira, and then when that time gets pulled back into Celoxis, then what is the default time code that needs to be picked up for specifying those time entries? You can define these time codes based on, does it need to be considered for design, development, documentation, research, testing, or any other time codes that you want to specify. For the purpose of this demo, I specify as default. And that's all it takes to configure the Jira integration in Celoxis. Mind you, this is a one-time configuration that you do at an organization level. And then the next configuration that you will need to do is at a project level, and that needs to be done by each project manager to specify how do you map between a Celoxis project and a Jira project, and you don't touch any of these configurations. Now, what I'll do is I will then go and create a new project. And what I want to do is I want to map this project, which is the software development project that I have already created that I have in Jira, which has a set of to-do items that have already been created. And I want to map this particular software development project with a project in Celoxis. Now, the point to note here is that one of the items from Jira that we would use for mapping a project between Jira and Celoxis is the key that is specified in Jira. Now, Jira key could be anything, because that's the key by which a project in Jira is identified. And this key is what we would use to map the two projects between Jira and Celoxis. So I go to the add project. I'll go back. I'll start again. I go to the add project section. I will specify a name for the project. I say software development. And there are a number of fields that you can specify while creating a project, like plan, start, and so on and so forth. For the purpose of this demo, I will move to the advanced section in the add project section and go to the bottom, which has an integration subsection. And the integration subsection actually defines what should be the key. Now, if you remember, in Jira, the key was SD, which identifies the software development project. So I will specify the key as SD and save. So now what I've done is I've created a new project called software development in Celoxis. And I have specified that the key to be used while connecting to Jira and integrating and mapping the two projects is SD, which maps to the software development project in my Celoxis Jira installation. Now, in order for me to ensure that data gets connected, I go to my Gantt, and there is a button here that you can see which says sync with Jira. I will click on sync with Jira, and voila, all the artifacts that have already been created in Jira get pulled into Celoxis. Bear in mind that this is a one-way integration, so data flows from Jira to Celoxis and not from Celoxis to Jira. So whenever there is an update that happens in Jira in terms of either change in dates or change in actuals or effort, all that you need to do is click on the sync with Jira button, and the system will go and check what are the changes that have happened on the Jira side, and pull all those changes and reflect them and update the Celoxis project that has been created. Now, once this has been done, the other things that you can do is you can look. So the advantage that, and I spoke about a certain set of disadvantages that we had, which were lack of real-time visibility, inefficient resource management, difficulty in orchestrating streamlining release management, and misaligned plan versus actual efforts. We'll quickly see how that can be seen. Now, if you look at the resource management, let me go to the workload by role chart here. So the workload by role chart essentially is a layout of all the resources by their role and how they have been loaded over the course of time. Now, in my Jira project, since it was a software development project, we had developers, and the Jira project had these developers. Now, if you look at, for example, if you look at Grace Collins, who was on the software development project in Jira, in the week of 7th of April and 14th of April, Grace is allocated 180% of what her capacity is. And the week of 14th April, she's allocated 110% of her available capacity, out of which she's already allocated to an earlier project. And then the software development project had her allocation as 80% and 10%. And this was the project which we stinged just now from Jira. What this essentially means is that Grace has been allocated more work than what she can possibly do in these 2 weeks, which could eventually either lead to Grace burning out, or it could, obviously, the second most probable answer would be that one of these projects would slip, because there's just as much capacity that Grace has that she can do work, which means that one of these projects will give. Now, this is the workload view which project and portfolio managers can use to see how the resources are loaded over a period of time all the way in the future, which essentially allows them to plan the resourcing in such a manner that none of this shows up green. If you look at the manner in which there's color coding, so green shows that they are optimally allocated, the blue is under allocated, and the red is the one where resources are over allocated. Similarly, if you look at Molly, you can see Molly is over allocated in the week of 28th of April and in the week of May. And this is the resource planning that a project and portfolio manager can do to make sure that you have an equitable distribution of work across resources, ensuring that resources are assigned effort and work as much as what their respective capacity is, to ensure that they continue working in an efficient manner, and also to ensure that the projects happen effectively as per their planned dates and planned time. Similarly, a different way of looking at it is to look at the in-progress tasks that you have. The task board, and also look at the in-progress tasks that we have. Or we could also look at the cost trend. So the cost trend, if you see, it shows you the cost of, because we spoke about the inability for Jira to show the planned versus actuals, and the cost trend tells you what is the cost trend of resources of planned versus actuals. Oops. We've just posted a poll here, which is, please answer the poll as we go through this. So as part of the cost trend, you'll be able to see what was the planned versus actuals. And this kind of shows you what was planned and what is the actual cost versus the planned. So in a nutshell, if you once you're able to integrate the Jira projects with a PPM tool like Celoxis, you're able to make sure that you're able to plan the resourcing in future in an efficient manner, and also be able to plan the actuals versus the planned, which gives you an effective manner of planning your overall portfolio, overall program. So these were just the steps that I did to integrate the Jira. A quick look at the fields in Jira that get integrated with Celoxis. So the fields in Jira that get mapped to different fields in Celoxis are these, which is summary, the original estimate, time spent, the story points, the assignee or the resource, the key, which is the issue key, the issue type, the issue status, the sprint in which the particular JIRA artifact is being planned, the sprint start and finish, and the predecessors if they have any. So what are the benefits that you get with the Celoxis and JIRA integration? First and foremost, you have improved resource management. There is streamlined release management because of improved resource management, because you can see the resources and how they are loaded over time. There's an ability to track the planned versus actuals that we saw with the cost trend. And there's an enhanced visibility towards the overall progress of the project, the program, and the portfolio, resulting in a higher likelihood of all the projects being done, getting done on time. So that's essentially what we wanted to cover. A quick update on who we are: GDPR regulated, GDPR compliant, ISO 27001 certified, and SOC 2 Type 2 compliant. That's us, Celoxis. And now we can open. Thank you very much, and we can open this up for Q&A. If any, I see there are some questions that have come on the panel. So there's a question that has come in. Will this also bring in the actual hours for DevOps? The answer is yes, it will. So the DevOps integration side, we would take that up as a separate webinar session where we will talk about how the DevOps integration gets done. But yes, the answer to that is yes, it will bring in the actual hours on Azure DevOps. There's another question that I have. Does the JIRA project need to be a separate project, or can it be a subsection in an existing Celoxis project? Rashmi, you want to answer that?
Yeah, I think I'll take that up. So basically, since the items are brought in from a particular project in JIRA itself, so you'll have to set that up for each and individual projects. You can't have it for a subset of a particular project.
There's one more question that is, that's actually a common good demonstration. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you like this. So as a knowledge series, we are going to have many such series, different topics that we would cover. JIRA integration was the first such topic that we took up. The next one that we will take up is the integration with Azure DevOps. Stay tuned for information from our marketing team so that you can attend those as well. If there are any other topics that this audience feels we can cover as part of Celoxis features, or how to do series in Celoxis, do let us know and we'll be more than happy to cover. There's a question here. It's one-way integration, then Celoxis will be for viewing only.
Yes. That is correct. So like Ratnakar demonstrated, it is one way. So your JIRA becomes the master and Celoxis will receive all the information where you can then, address the key points that Ratnakar has been, talking about.
Thank you, Rashmi. Can I send questions for Azure DevOps for addressing in the next session? Absolutely. Please send through those questions and we'll be happy to answer those. Please send it to marketing at Celoxis.
Yeah,
sorry, go ahead, Rashmi.
I'm so sorry. I just mentioned support@celoxis.com, or marketing would also be good.
Yeah, either way is fine. Support@celoxis.com or marketing@celoxis.com, and we'll cover those in the next session.
I'm just putting that on the chat.
What I would request is please have the heading as questions for the Azure DevOps webinar so that we know what those are and we don't have a support personnel chasing those. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for everyone who attended. I know some people were from a very different time zone, but really appreciate you attending this. Hope you liked it, and stay tuned for more such sessions from Celoxis in the Celoxis Knowledge Series. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
I'm sorry, I'm just interrupting. There are two more questions that have come in, so I think I'll just take this to answer those questions. So one is,
absolutely.
From JIRA, that's from Edwin. So if you're looking at replacing JIRA with Celoxis, yes, you definitely can do that. And we'll be more than happy to, arrange a session to do that. The next question is about, does this bring issues and risks from Celoxis? So like I said, the information from JIRA is going to come to Celoxis. So if you have created different task types in Jira as risks and issues, those will be brought over in Celoxis, not the other way around.
I think there
Jira?
was a clarification that they
Yeah.
meant Jira.
So if your task types are marked accordingly, yes, they would be brought in as is. The entire hierarchy is copied over.
Excellent. Thank you very much, folks. Thank you very much for joining this session. Really appreciate this. Rashmi, thank you for the support. And Mawa and Gauri, thanks for organizing this. Looking forward to more such sessions.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers. Have a good rest of the day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.